In the heart of the Rockies, this elite crew
Working on the railway is very dangerous. Every rule that's been written has been written in blood.
battles massive avalanches
Oh man, that thing is not small.
and monster icicles.
It's Mother Nature you're dealing with. You just don't know what she's gonna do.
To keep a crucial supply line running through the mountains, the Canadian Pacific Railway. This extreme mountain passage is a critical lifeline to get fuel, food, and freight from coast to coast during the winter.
This train is the train that must not stop.
Heaven forbid if it does.
If the trains can't roll through this icy hell,
In the mountains, it's always a battle.
the country will grind to a halt. In the mighty Rocky Mountains, Canada's most extreme stretch of railroad clings to the edge of these ice-encrusted rocks. The Canadian Pacific Railway was built more than 135 years ago and snakes 5,000 kilometers across Canada. It's the steel backbone that ties the country together. The most challenging stretch of the route runs through these mountains,
Always fun this time of year.
where snow and ice can shut down the entire line.
It's very difficult to keep trains running. You have Mother Nature, the seasons, mechanical defects. There's always something that's up against us being able to keep the trains moving.
Working out here is a challenge. You have steep grades, tight corners, and lots of snow. It's all about being comfortable and knowing your area.
Overnight, a huge snowstorm buried large sections of track, making this mountain route nearly impassable.
Right now we had a lot of freezing temperatures, and then it snowed. Now there's a huge train delay. We'll mobilize the snowplow crew so then operations can continue on.
Okay, channel 16, copy that.
We've had quite a bit of fresh snow on the Selkirk Mountains. Our plow equipment is all set up, ready to do battle.
Last night's storm also left behind a massive buildup of snow on the mountain slopes.
Avalanche advisory, so that won't be considerable.
That's our avalanche advisory. Now we know what our conditions are. Today, they're considerable, almost as high as we get to safely run trains and safely work.
There's a really large snowpack up on the top of these mountains right now that has the potential to release naturally in the next coming few days, bury the tracks, close the railway for 24 to 48 hours while they clean it up. Trains will be backed up across the province and in turn a lot of financial loss.
The storm could not have hit at a worse time. 480 kilometers west of the Rockies, in the port of Vancouver, the biggest cargo ship to ever dock on Canada's west coast is delivering more than 13,000 containers for Canadian Pacific to haul east through the snow-clad Rockies. These containers are loaded with crucial supplies, from food to clothes, cell phones to computers, essential items for people from coast to coast. Dock workers race to stack the containers onto the train so they can send it on its way.
We got a clear signal.
In the lead locomotive, conductor Jim Smith, and engineer Geordie Hunter, who's been working on the line for 20 years.
CP's hottest train is this train, Train 100, and they'll part the waters for us. This train is the hot train.
We have 26 loads on this train, no empties, so we got a fully stocked train.
It's got all the time-sensitive freight that just has to be there. It's a scheduled train and it has to be in Toronto at a specific time. They don't want to delay it whatsoever, so you get on and you're gone.
The average train length is 8,400 feet, but potentially these trains could get as long as 13,000 feet. That's over 2 miles of train.
James and I are in charge of multi-millions of dollars worth of equipment here. This locomotive is worth almost $3 million. We have 3 of these on this train. And then you've got the containers with all the merchandise in them. It's a huge responsibility. But we're up for it, eh?
Yeah.
The Canadian Pacific crew must haul this important load worth around $50 million, 3,200 kilometers, from Vancouver to a rail yard in Vaughan near Toronto. The most treacherous part of the route is through the Rocky Mountains. First, they must guide their train through the snow-covered Selkirks, then the Avalanche zone at Rogers Pass, before hitting the ice-encrusted Rockies.
Oh, I got a cold nose. It's cold outside. Every year there's always that one snowstorm, and this year we had massive dumps of snow across the mountain. The threat of an avalanche is always there, especially with the amount of snow we've been getting.
Jordy and Jim in Train 100 head east, smack into the heart of the Avalanche zone. It's up to Avalanche technician Derek Melanson to assess just how serious the risk of a snowslide is right now.
We have absolutely humongous mountains that have avalanche paths that directly impact the railway, and if we aren't able to go control these areas, then they have the potential to build up to some of the largest avalanches possible.
It was here through the Selkirk Mountains in 1881 that surveyor Major Albert Bowman Rogers discovered a passage to connect the railway from east to west. It took just a year for construction crews to lay the tracks through this zone. But running trains through these mountains came at a cost. In 1910, an avalanche claimed the lives of 62 workers. It was dangerous then, and it's still dangerous now.
I'm looking for a protected area of snow so I can dig a snowpack profile, so I can identify weaknesses within the snowpack that might fail. We've had very large avalanches coming down over the railway quite frequently this season. So this is my 3-meter snow probe. Right away off the bat, we have a 200-centimeter snowpack here.
A 2-meter deep slab of snow sits directly above the tracks. It's not a question of if it will slide, but when.
Avalanches can easily take out mature timber and clear out entire forests if large enough. You can't get complacent while out here. It's Mother Nature, and anything can happen. I'm gonna start digging some of this snow out and start my test. There's been a weakness kind of established itself right in here. Here we have some ice formations.
The snow-covered mountain peaks are nurseries for avalanches. Rain and heat from the sun cause freshly fallen snow to melt. As temperatures fall below zero at night, this water freezes to form a layer of ice. As more snow falls, these layers of ice become buried and compacted. The fresh snow building up on top of the slippery ice can become unstable. And when it reaches a critical weight, it will slide off, triggering an avalanche, containing 1 million tons of snow traveling up to 320 kilometers per hour.
I'm going to administer a series of taps, slowly giving it more impact and more stress to these weaknesses, showing what they're failing today. All the way down here, I had a failure, which is down about 112 centimeters. So we have 1 meter and 12 centimeters that was actually quite easily triggered here. We do have potential for large avalanches in this area right now that are possibly going to be triggered on this layer. Being over 1 meter deep, this would be a very large avalanche that would affect the railway.
Ahead of Train 100.
There we go.
1,000 meters up in Rogers Pass.
It is quite a scary test result.
Derek Melanson has discovered a massive buildup of snow in the mountains.
I'm calling the roadmaster out of Revelstoke.
Yeah, hey Chad, Derek here.
Roadmaster Chad Deschamps is in charge of the 14-strong crew who clear the snow and repair the rails along this critical mountain stretch.
I like to be a leader, get dirty, spend time with the crews, being part of them. Sometimes you guys got to do a little bit of manual labor. I grew up in a railway family. The railway's in my blood. My grandfather, my father, uncles, and here I am now.
Chad, we do have potential for large avalanches in this area right now.
Right.
Avalanches are a roadmaster's worst nightmare. In 2007 near Rogers Pass, an avalanche came down, hitting a freight train and damaging tracks. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it took a week to clean up and reopen the line.
Okay, I'll let my people know.
Thanks so much, Chad.
Yep, bye. The avalanche rating was considerable.
Yeah. Snowpack is very, very unstable, and it can slide at any time. If it comes down in an uncontrolled way, it can hit trains, hit track forces, lives can be at stake, cars can be buried. It's very dangerous. It's Mother Nature you're dealing with. You just don't know what she's gonna do.
Derek and Chad must use an effective but potentially dangerous technique to get the snow off the mountains.
With this kind of instability within the snowpack, we're gonna have to go do explosive control. We are gonna fly in a helicopter with large explosives, dropping them out of the helicopter onto avalanche start zones in the area.
We're coming up to some sheds where they built underneath the avalanche paths. I've been in the shed when an avalanche came down. We were coming through there on a westbound one winter, and all of a sudden it was like a tornado inside the tunnel. This whole thing was just full of swirling snow, and it was all blowing around inside the tunnel. As we exited the tunnel here at the west end, we had a look, and you could see the slide was just kind of finishing up there, trickling down. So we went right underneath a moving avalanche, which was pretty cool.
That's just the reality of the job. You have to be prepared for those days. And you also have to be prepared to act at any moment that something might go wrong out here.
With this train moving at 50 miles an hour, it'd probably take about 2,500 feet to stop. About half a mile.
With its fleet of 1,000 locomotives and 38,000 rail cars, the Canadian Pacific Railway is one of the largest railroad networks in the world. But this isn't the only railway that's a crucial lifeline. 2,500 kilometers east of the Rockies, the Ontario Northland Railway shuttles critical supplies to off-gridders and isolated communities that live on the edge of the Arctic. The challenges for this rail crew aren't mountains and avalanches, but subarctic winds that pummel the icy tundra.
You gotta have a thicker skin than most people, because minus 50 degrees at 3 o'clock in the morning isn't all that much fun. We're in being Northern Ontario tough, I guess you could say.
Conductor Jay Faldine has worked on the line for 15 years.
I could live out here for a little bit, but not as long as some of these people do. I love the outdoors, but I like being able to grocery shop too. One more. I have to drop off a few guns. At any point in time along the track, somebody steps out of the bush from a camp or whatever, flags us down, and we stop and pick them up. Everything from guns to groceries to moose. If somebody can carry it out of the bush, we'll put it on the train. A lot of times we're the only option for them. It's a lifeline. Growing up, always loved trains, but never thought of doing this for a job until I was actually doing it. Every day is a little bit different, and doesn't get any more beautiful than this out here.
Part of the line runs from Cochrane, Ontario, 312 kilometers north to the remote community of Moosonee. Just ahead of this train is Fraserville. That's where George Ross lives. His family's winter camp sits just 300 meters from the tracks.
Good
This is our Ross camp. We call it Rossville. It's me and my family, my brother, my sister. We all come here whenever we can. This was the main camp that started it all about 10 years ago. So that's where I used to stay with my family, with my 6 kids. This one over here is my younger sister and her kids. This thing here was supposed to be something, but it looks like junk. I don't really like it, so I'm gonna rip it down. And then I have my stockpile of wood here. Last year I had close to 40 cords piled up right there.
A cord is around 4 meters cubed of well-stacked firewood. The name comes from the cord that was once used to measure it out.
I cut this last weekend, a little over a day. Put that one there.
Today, George is preparing a load of firewood that he'll send north on the train.
It started a few years ago with wood-wise. I cut a lot of wood there back home. I had my shack for wood, and I just kept cutting more and more wood, and people started to see it.
As a member of the First Nations, George is allowed to harvest wood from his camp.
Come clear those branches there.
He's turned it into a thriving business, selling the wood to remote northern communities, like the island of Moose Factory.
I've talked to quite a few elders, and some of the wood they've been buying was $180 a cord, and they wouldn't even get their full order. And so they would call me, just asking, what kind of wood can you provide? When can you get it?
There's no natural gas in Moose Factory, and electricity costs up to $1,500 a month to heat a home. So residents like Bob Chilton rely on George's firewood to fuel their wood-burning stoves.
The coldest I've ever seen it was about minus 42 with a wind chill factor. About 65 to minus 68, and that's cold.
Bob's a retired firefighter. Battling smoke for 30 years took a toll on his health.
I'm on oxygen 24/7 for the rest of my life.
The railway here is major because it's the only way in to bring freight. And if you go shopping and you want to bring your vehicles, skidoos, ATVs, everything up north, the railway brings everything up there. If there's no train, then there's no access.
For a fee, Jay and the Ontario Northland crew drop off a gondola car at George's camp.
I've used the gondolas to load wood. It's just throw it all in there and they do it all. Just gotta bring it and wait for it. That's when I start. And I won't stop until I'm done. Yeah, the goal is to fill this up as much as I can. If I stack this wall to wall, I can get 40, 45 cords in here.
Jay and the team will pick up and transport George's gondola packed with firewood 170 kilometers north to Moosonee. From there, George will need help from his son to load the wood onto sleighs and haul them across the frozen Moose River to Bob's home.
I brought quite a bit of wood up for Bob Chilton here this winter. His health isn't the greatest. He's usually the first one on my list to do. And all that wood's gonna go to Bobby.
In the mountains, Train 100 is closing in on the Avalanche zone at Rogers Pass. While Derek prepares the explosives he'll use to detonate a man-made snowslide,
Play with the big bags today.
Chad leads an arsenal of machines into position, ready to clear up the snow from the blast. That includes this 30-ton loader. This 20-ton snow fighter equipped with 5-meter-long blades to scoop snow away from the tracks. And this 80-year-old wedge plow designed to smash a path right through massive piles of snow.
If a slide does come down, we'll have the snowplow in position. When we get the okay, the snowplow will go in and do its work.
But en route, he spots a new threat.
We got a lot of work in here right now. If that came down in front of a locomotive, it'd scare them. We don't want the icicles to fall on their own. Those columns probably at least 14 feet high by a diameter of about 8 feet, over 1,000 pounds. That coming off the wall on the middle of the track. We don't want that.
These giant icicles form as temperatures rise and melting snow seeps through the tunnel's rock ceiling. At night, when temperatures fall, this dripping water starts to freeze. Over time, the ice builds up, layer upon layer, forming an icicle that grows bigger and bigger, until eventually, this frozen giant becomes a danger to both the tracks and trains. 1 cubic meter of ice weighs nearly a ton.
My biggest concern is ice columns falling on top of the fellows.
Chad assigns 23-year-old rookie Jimmy Taylor to work under the eyes of experienced foreman Ben Pallas.
We gotta get going.
We're gonna take the excavator with our machine operator. We're gonna head down the track and hopefully knock down some ice.
A former professional magician, this is Jimmy's 2nd year learning the railroad ropes. It's a huge career switch that demands commitment.
I came into the labor industry from being entertainment and being hospitality, so I was terrified coming here, not knowing what to expect. During my initial orientation, I got this right here tattooed on me, which is my employee number. It's not a job, it's a way of life. I'll be staying with it for a while. Today, we're in charge of switching the tracks. This means the train can't come through the tunnel unless we switch it back to this line.
The ice is blocking the passage through the Clan William Tunnel at Eagle Pass. In the 1910s, tunnels were built throughout the mountains to protect trains from avalanches in the winter and mudslides in the spring. Originally, the tunnels were twin-track, but today's freight cars are so big that only a single train can fit through.
People used to go in with lining bars and picks and pick it by hand. A lot of people did get, killed and injured in it. We rush it, there could be an accident, there could be, if we leave a chunk of ice, the train could potentially go underground right after us. Could be an injury, there could be God knows what. So an eye on the clock basically to make sure we're not gonna hurt anybody.
Hey, Ivan. Hello. I'm gonna concentrate on knocking that down, okay?
Okay. I'll push it away from me.
You're gonna push it away? Okay, that sounds good. Okay, Ivan.
It's gonna get demolished.
Chad's team is battling to clear giant columns of ice from the tunnel at Eagle Pass.
Potentially derail a train. If they hit a train, they could break a rail, so they're definitely a big danger to the railway.
Thanks. I'll just push this out of the way so I can clear it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll push it away from me there, yeah.
Jordy and Jim's Train 100, carrying its precious cargo to Vaughan, is closing in on Chad's crew.
We got 2 hours, okay?
Okay.
Let's knock these columns down.
Okay, copy that.
The ice can be pretty dangerous because if it builds up, it'll start hitting track units as they go by. It'll be essentially like a big boulder on the track.
All the material that came down from that ice column, we just want to get it out of the tunnel, obviously, and then get it away from the side of the tracks. I just don't want to hold up any trains right now.
We just clean up that little pile.
Once we get on the outside of the tunnel, there's an ice column right there.
Oh, okay.
That's going to come down.
Okay.
Kate, are you all set up?
Okay, go ahead.
Nice ice for your whiskey, buddy.
That could have came down by itself, and worst case scenario, hit a locomotive and break a rail. We only got about 15 minutes to go here, so I got to get Ivan moving. I'm just going to get Ben and the boys this side of us, okay? Okay, we can get Ben and Jimmy down to the switch. It's all clear.
I just got the call there from Chad. He requires you to shut down what you're doing there now.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Copy that.
With the line clear, Jimmy gets the okay to switch it back into service.
I'm checking the points to make sure there's nothing obstructing the rails. switches are where most derailments I've personally seen happen. Now you see, I learned all this the hard way. A while back ago, I ended up leaving a switch open. Thankfully, a train didn't go through the limits. I puked everywhere. I thought that was the end point of my career. I lost a lot of pay, I lost a lot of privileges, and especially I lost a lot of respect.
Jimmy needs to claw back that respect to prove his worth as a railroader.
I'm watching the wheels for smoke or redness in case a brake might be stuck on. I'm watching the knuckles of the train that attaches the cars together. I'm watching those to make sure there's no cracks or chips or dents. I'm also watching the airlines to make sure none of them are flapping around, none of them are leaking at all.
This stretch of line may be clear, but Chad's job isn't done. He needs to race his snow-clearing team to Rogers Pass to prepare for the snow slide Derek's about to trigger.
This is our explosives magazine. Big box of boom. These are 12.5 kilograms and our big ones are 25 kilograms. We're gonna take down some cornices and hopefully some big slopes.
This ammonium nitrate fuel oil, or ANFO, is a relatively stable blasting agent used in mines and quarries, but it needs a big kick to get it going.
So here we have just sticks of typical dynamite, which are used to initiate the larger explosives. It's one big chain reaction. 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah.
Derek will drop the explosives from a helicopter to release the loose slabs of snow so they don't slide under the railroad on their own.
Hey, Chad.
Derek?
I'm all loaded up and getting ready to head to the heliport there.
Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Bye-bye.
2,500 kilometers east in Ontario.
I've been loading a gondola, getting ready to send it up north to Moose Knie. Now I'm waiting to get on a train to deliver all the wood.
The Ontario Northland Railroad is one of the last flag-stop train services in the country.
When I see the train coming, I just basically wave my arms and wave my gloves in the air. They'll see me, just so they know that we're getting on.
Well, I think we got a flag, eh? Is that George up there? Yeah, we got a flag here at George Ross's camp. Anytime on this train, you could step out of the bush, step out of your vehicle, flag the train down, and we'll stop and pick you up, and anything you happen to have with you, too.
Steak.
Oh, yeah, that's George and his dog there.
With the gondola hooked up, George just needs to make sure his gear in Moosonee is ready to go.
I gotta go get prep the skidoos. I gotta make sure that they're fueled and ready, the belts are on it, and working condition, basically. My nephew borrowed it, and I just need to make sure it's all done. Hopefully I can get the wood over to the Avalanche.
We picked George up at Fraserville, and he's now in Moosonee.
Now the work begins again.
Moosonee was established in the 1900s as a fur trading port. Located near the tip of James Bay, it's the gateway to extremely remote communities in the Arctic. The wetlands here are frozen solid. George and his 15-year-old son, George Jr., need to use their snowmobiles to transport Bob's wood 2 kilometers across the frozen Moose River.
Well, I gotta be able to get close as I can to the ice. It doesn't look too bad, actually, right here. As long as I can get to here, I can go that way. Hey, let's load this sleigh. I just noticed this morning, there's a big crack in the bottom. I'm a little nervous about it breaking. Just need to make it there and back. Big crack and a couple of holes over here, too. Looks okay. I'll find out when I drive it. Just get at it.
In the Selkirks, Jordy and Jim's train makes it through the Clan William Tunnel.
Being a locomotive engineer is all I've ever wanted. I found my niche in life, and there's nothing I'd rather do but drive a train. Railroading is what it's all about.
The train's three 4,400 horsepower locomotives are powering Train 100 right into the avalanche zone at Rogers Pass.
Get our bombs out and build them up. We don't need a full stick of dynamite to initiate these larger explosives, so I'm cutting them in half. This is just a hole for the fuse to be inserted into. Let's get in the air.
Chad and his team move their machines into place, ready to clear up whatever snow the bombs release. 31-year-old snow fighter Derek Moore gears up for action in the valley below.
I've been with CP for 9 years now, snow fighter for 4.5. And this is our KSF 940 snow fighter. These are equipped with giant snow wings on a V plow, so we can directionally plow whichever way we need to go. Also, giant wings to deflect snow away from the track. These are our adjustment plates for plow height. We'll go around the other side and make sure there's even amounts of shims on both sides. Checking oil, fluids, coolant levels, hose leaks, anything that could impede your day. Quick visual check on our blower fins. We only have 2 of them, and when one goes down, it's a far way to Calgary to get a new one. 100% operator's shoulders if anything goes wrong in the field. If it has to do with fluids or a bolt coming loose or a pin out, that is operator's onus. Just getting ready to go for avalanche bombing today. In avalanche country, we have tons to worry about. It's just about knowing what to do. The protection part. Avalanche beacons. Every morning before you get into avalanche territory, you do a simple check. Battery percentage, transmit, and we're ready to rock.
The beacons send out a homing signal that helps crews locate workers if they get buried by an avalanche.
I was hoping for like 2 feet on the track for the first one.
2 feet? That's nothing. 6 meters.
6 meters?
Oh, yeah.
On the other side of the slide zone,
Clear signal.
veteran snowplow operator John Popplewell and conductor Grant Fiocco also move into position.
I've been in snowplow service since November of 1985. Haven't had a winter like this for quite a few years.
John's 25-ton wedge plow was custom made to punch through snow drifts up to 5 meters deep.
You gotta be on the ball all the time, no goofing around. Hit a bridge with the nose down, and then you wind up with a set of dentures. That is great. It could be very bad.
We're looking for really fat and loaded slopes here with the large overhangs on top to get the best results we can from all of our explosives. There's some cornices there. I think that has the potential to, pop a slab out. There's that one there too. Unless we see anything else really pop out in the next couple minutes here, we'll just go for those 2. Sure. Oh man, that thing is not small. I think I could make that go with some big booms. Yeah. Let's get it. Okay. I have 2 explosives ready to go here. Ready for open door? Open door. Once we're in place, we'll throw some bombs.
Derek takes aim at this shelf of snow that threatens to launch an avalanche onto the railroad.
Okay, putting igniters on 2 bombs. And here's 2 bombs. Just a little bit further in. Fuses are lit. Fuses lit. Bombs away.
High above Rogers Pass,
Bombs away.
Derek is set to unleash his controlled avalanche.
Looks pretty pretty good. Arms away.
I've just talked to Chad. He's got large snow plows and snow fighters in place, just in case we hit the rail with avalanche debris today, which I think is quite a possibility.
Now we're just waiting for the boom, and hopefully that cornice releases and gives us some good results. That's good results.
Oh, there's a good blast coming down. See the cloud coming in?
We've taken out a good chunk of that cornice. We popped a small slab avalanche here. We've got probably a size 3 avalanche at least here. And it's still running and picking up mass. Awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That might dust the road.
The next shelf is even bigger.
Oh, this is a nice big one, eh? Fuses are lit. Fuses lit. Away. We'll go a little further away with the bigger bags. Should be about to go any second now. There we go. Awesome. Oh, whoa. That's big. Great results here. We cleaned out the entire slope. We got a big powder cloud still traveling down the valley here. We've actually got really close to the railway tracks here with this result. This is obviously one of the things we take the most seriously. On the other hand, I do have a lot of fun taking out entire mountainsides with large explosives. All complete, all explosives are detonated.
So we did get something on the tracks.
Our pile is quite large, 40 meter wide by 3 to 4 meter deep.
Bombing triggered enough snow to fall onto our track. Time to work.
East in Moosonee,
Ready?
George and his son head down to cross the Moose River with their damaged sleigh.
Me and Georgie, we're going to be going over with 2 snow machines. He has enough experience. He pays attention. That's why I don't worry about him as much when we go and do things, because he knows enough.
I feel scary going on the ice. I like to do this wood, get the job done.
I needed to make sure that when I go and deliver the wood, that the ice is safe enough. I don't want to take any chances. We'll go down here and we'll follow the creek out. Just gotta go pick up some speed, I guess. It looks safe. It may be safe, but it doesn't take much. If I go too slow, I'll get stuck. I don't want to go too fast either. So he's supposed to be right there, but that's it.
In the mountains, Train 100 is bearing down on the avalanche zone.
And here we come to the big one. That's more than 3 or 4 meters.
Chad's team gears up to clear the snowslide. It measures 6 meters deep and covers more than 60 meters of track.
Avalanche snow is unlike any other snow you'll see. It falls and tumbles and compacts so hard that it sometimes can be like digging cement. Not to mention the trees, rocks, and whatever else debris comes down with it. You can see the top of the excavator on the opposite side working back towards us. We'll get as clean as we can, as quick as we can. You gotta have bravery in you to get in that loader, I suppose. Because you're basically riding the edge of a mountain. If he goes too far over, he's going down the bank. In the mountains, it's always a battle.
John's plow crew gets set to clear the snow that has come down on their side.
Let's bust this slide up there, Engineman Federico. Over.
We got the okay, all machines are clear, so we'll clean the rest of this up. We only need, 3 feet either side for a train to clear safely. Looks good, backing up. Back to the clear for trains to run. We're gonna park our machines, let trains go by. That's why we're here. Keep it safe for trains to keep moving.
On the Moose River in northern Ontario,
See, it popped up.
George Ross's sleigh is on its last legs.
It's gonna survive.
He and his 15-year-old son, George Jr., are trying to reach the island of Moose Factory to deliver Bob Chilton's firewood.
There's gonna be some cool weather for another 2 weeks, so I can use another cord of wood.
Bobby's health isn't the greatest, and the wood's gonna help him keep warm during this cold front. It'll keep him warm and less stress for him. Hey, Bobby.
Hi, George.
How's it going?
How's the crossing?
Not bad, actually.
That's good.
It was actually a pretty smooth crossing. If it was rough, it would have broke off by now. There's always something. Fix it later. For me, doing this type of work is something I've always done. I've always enjoyed being outdoors, and I'll keep doing it as long as I can. It's a little more gratifying knowing that you're bringing wood to someone, an elder. It's good than knowing that he's getting what he needs. That's it. Done.
All right, George. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Job well done.
It's another successful delivery for Jay and the ONR team.
Bad weather stops planes. It doesn't usually stop us.
The ONR played a big role in my life. For me, I've used the boss cars. This year for sure is gondolas, which makes it easier, and then everybody gets what they want. I'm sure the wood is going to help him out and extend his heat source.
There they are now.
With the tracks and Rogers Pass finally clear, Jordy and Jim guide train 100 through the slide zone at a snail's pace. With the mountains behind them, they put the pedal to the metal.
Eyeball, let's go.
We're on fast track, so I'm gonna get this baby up to 50. We'll be able to hold that right into town pretty much.
Canadian Pacific Railway is the essential service of Canada. The railway pushes the economy of Canada forward. Without the railway, we really wouldn't have the economic stability that Canada has. A754, clear signal.
Clear signal. Almost wrapped up here. 15 minutes and we'll be climbing off this baby.
Having braved the worst the mountains can throw at them, Jordy and Jim's day is just about over.
Day in the life, railroading.
Okay.
It takes 3 more days for crews to navigate Train 100, the last 2,700 kilometers of its journey. The precious delivery of food and freight, vital to keeping homes across North America replenished, reaches Vaughan, Ontario, intact and unscathed. Canadian Pacific's Train 100 has done its job. It escaped being pierced by giant daggers of ice and crushed by massive slides of snow. All because of the dedicated crews who battle brutal weather and deadly terrain to keep this crucial mountain railroad running.
Railroaders are a different breed. Working all different hours of the night, weather. It takes certain people to endure all that. It's a big family, all the railroaders. We just want to get the job done and see the trains moving.
Next time, a deadly threat of polar bears
They're hunters. They're looking for meat.
and treacherous tunnels
They're kind of scary. You could film a horror movie in them.
push railway crews to the limit.
Let's get the out of here.
as they struggle to haul a record-breaking load of grain through a frozen mountain pass.